Hey, everybody. Coming up on today's show, we got a little action coming out of the Volkswagen Group. Going to bring back an old favorite. We're going to tell you all about that. We got some SEMA news. I think you probably want to hear this if you're willing to attend the show or can actually get in the show. We'll be there. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. Also, we've got some new battery technology coming along that you might want to hang on to your ass to find out, because this is going to be an interesting topic of discussion. Keith and I have discussed these battery technologies before. And you know what? We got Ukrainian soldiers rolling around on a piece of equipment that can help them get in and out of harm's way very quickly. It's a great use of modern technology. And apparently Ford's dabbling into the recall industry these days. All of that and more coming up on today's podcast. Hey, everybody, welcome into the podcast, The Counter Show. Welcome in, Keith, my good friend and co-host over there. How are you, sir?
Woohoo! Hey, I see you got the memo, black shirt, no hat day.
Black shirt, no hat. Black shirt, no hat. Yep. Yeah, that's no paid promotion. Black shirt, no hat. Just kind of what we felt like doing today. So there you go. I didn't need anything on my head anyway. My head's been so full of just,
Well, have you?
I'll just let the cat out of the bag, dude. I got it again, man. Dang it.
Have you, during your downtime, did you watch any extra television?
I did, actually. I've been watching the George Carlin special.
Oh, I saw. It's in my list.
HBO, yeah. And I must tell you that I don't care, man. I think he's probably the genius of comedy, period. Genius, period. Just an amazing and intelligent individual overall. But had no idea some of the things the guy went through. So I highly recommend watching this docuseries on George Carlin.
Now I have to get to it sooner versus later.
One of the funniest men alive.
Yeah.
But delivered it in a way that you really, really, really had to think about it. And I think that was
he's very cerebral. Yeah.
Well, that was his whole purpose. That's just kind of how stupid society is. They don't think. So here, let's think for you. And he just had a way of making you go, yeah, what is that? What's up with that kind of stuff? That's how George was. So I appreciate him so much.
You know how I know you haven't started watching Discovery yet?
Why?
Because I haven't gotten the text that says like, dude.
Yeah, we're on the verge. We just finished. I finished the final episode of Picard this season.
Yeah,
you finished with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We did completely finish that one, and I don't know where to go from here. I mean, I'm going to
make a suggestion to you.
Yes.
Should
I go back and watch Discovery first and stay away from Strange New Worlds?
You're making me like if I answer this, it's like asking me if you got me that Chris. It's like, hey man, I'm about to go buy this present for myself that I've always wanted. Did you get this for me for Christmas? And I'm trapped here, right? Because if I say don't buy it, I've basically admitted to you that I got it for you. I would. Okay. I can do this carefully. Some of the characters in Strange New Worlds start showing up in around season 2 of Star Trek Discovery.
Okay, so that makes complete sense.
You
so
want to
go there.
You want to do Discovery first.
Yes, and on top of that, we're gonna get into some other stuff. Disney Plus is going to be at the end of the month. We know what's coming, and I'm diving into it. I cannot wait, and we'll talk a little bit about something here today on the podcast about it. But just back to what I said initially, man. I got COVID again, and it's been a strange journey through this particular episode of it.
You went and got.
I didn't know I had it. I didn't know I had it. I felt absolutely 100% go for launch, right? I was ready. I had all the ducks in a row. I went through my flight checks and everything. Felt perfect. Went in, had it scheduled for late in the afternoon after our meeting, in fact, because I wanted to get through our meeting because I knew that I was going to probably get, maybe later that evening or the next day I was going to start feeling a little rough because I had in the past historically. This is my second booster shot. And the minute that she stuck that needle in my arm, it burned like crazy and it hurt right on location. I had never experienced that before. And I'm like, wow, that's okay. This is different. And I'm thinking, well, it's doing its job. 5 minutes later, I'm walking around, man. I'm getting my groceries. They tell you to just kind of hang around the pharmacy area until 30 minutes later you're free to move. And I did all that, and as I'm doing this, man, I got a severe headache, and then all of a sudden I felt flu-like, and I'm like, I've just got to go home. This thing's hitting me hard. And after several days of really severe, what I thought were side effects, ended up, several days later, my wife suggested she take a test. She did. She was negative. But I went ahead and took the test, and I ended up being positive for COVID, and I was positive when I got my booster. Whoa.
So
don't double whammy.
Don't want to have it when you get the booster. This is kind of like Blade Runner here. Like you're going out hunting down synths, right?
Yeah.
And you find out that you are one, right?
Right. Exactly, man. That's just kind of what happened. It's really weird. It's what an experience that was too. And of course I did all the research on it, of course, that you want to know, well, did I just like not do myself a favor by getting a shot while I had COVID? And that's just not the case. There's a misconception about that. The reason they tell you not to get a booster while you have COVID is so you don't get the health worker sick that's giving it to you.
Okay.
Getting it while you have COVID, it does not affect you in a negative way at all. If anything, you're getting a double boost, and unfortunately, you may have to ride the storm out, which is exactly what I had to do. And so I'm good to go. I'm free and clear. I'm now past my quarantine and everything. So luckily, as far as I know, people I was around did not get it. Thank you so much for not spreading it, Jay. So there you go. So
back to Moe's Tavern, right?
Yeah, exactly. A little help from Heloise, man. Don't get COVID vaccine while under COVID duress, if you know you are. But I will say this: the vaccinations obviously work because I was basically asymptomatic. I had no idea I had it.
Right.
None. Zero. So that's a kind of a good and bad thing, because if you do have it and you're infectious and you spread it and you don't know it, I mean, what do you do? Right?
Well, I mean, you move here to Tennessee because you cannot get COVID in Tennessee. Did you know that?
Apparently, man. Yeah.
It doesn't exist. I mean, if you walk around, I mean, there's nobody like you. It just doesn't exist. You can't get it here.
No, it's interesting, man. I know that there are a few states out there like that. I think Florida's on that list as well. Texas might even be on that list. So, anyway, yeah. So thankfully I'm back on the mend. Thank you for letting me skip last week's podcast. I mean, I literally had to cancel on you.
It's all right. I was piled under. We had time to spend on other PCG stuff that now is in progress.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Holy cow! I think Keith and I may have struck the jackpot here with some things, and you will be seeing those changes, and we will speak more and more about those as we implement those.
Yeah. Also, last week was baseball Little League playoffs, and
right. How'd that go, by the way? Did the guys kick butt?
We did well. We didn't finish first, but honestly, nobody did because it got rained out, so they just gave the awards.
Well, that's a bummer.
I saw. It's always like this. I saw not us.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time Mary has said like I don't want it to end because I think we're all having fun.
Oh yeah.
And I saw
good times.
I saw a father-son get in a fight from the team.
Like, a father and a son?
Like mom had to intervene and tell dad to take a walk because the parents get competitive, man.
I know they do. I guess they should. That's part of it. Yeah.
I saw I minimized my screaming and yelling this time. this time. Usually I'm the guy out there that's blowing a gasket.
I can't see that with you.
It's when they don't listen. So I want these kids to do their best, and I know what they're capable of. And we've spent so much time with them, like I know what their abilities are.
Yeah.
And when they get in their own way, I get frustrated because I want what's the best for them, and they're not living up to their potential. I mean, ultimately they have to make that decision. Mm-hmm. But I do get frustrated at times when they're checked out. You know.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. We've been actually entrenched in NCAA women's softball recently, and gosh, man, those girls are such athletic individuals. Man, they're amazing.
It's very competitive, and the speeds that they can get out of fast pitch.
The pitches, man, that's what was blowing me away. It's like, wow, man. I mean, I don't know of any dudes doing that. I really don't, man. That's a technique.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but it's been very fun to watch the regionals and semis and all that stuff. So it's been a lot of fun. I like this time of year because it's loaded with all different types of sports. Keeps you pretty busy. It's not taken over by just NFL and that sort of stuff. So you've got, you got the hockey, you got the Stanley Cup going on right now, which has been really fun to watch. So you kind of just pop into one series and pop into another series and see how it's going. And your St. Louis Blues are doing quite well.
I know.
I know. Yeah, I mean they're a really good team. They have been this year all year. So they're just I don't have anything else to say except for
I get weird looks around here. When I wear my Blues hat. And here's the thing, man. I mean, and you did this. You lived here. You became a Titans fan, and then you moved away. Mm-hmm. And you're not a Seahawks fan. You're just a Titans fan, right? Like you were a Titans fan first. I was a Blues fan, and then I moved to Nashville in the early 90s before there was a hockey team. Yeah. And it's great. I've been to plenty of Predators games and all that, but I've always loved the Blues. Just
doesn't steal your heart. Right, exactly.
And I can guarantee you if they get a Major League Baseball team here, I won't care. Like, I just won't care.
I'm with you, and I can definitely speak to that. But that's just like we just got the Seattle Kraken, the hockey expansion team here. I'm a Predators fan. And I watched the Kraken, but I'm always going to pull for the Preds, man.
I'll go if somebody's got tickets or there's a thing. I'll go. I'll have fun. I'm just not
As a kid growing up in a southeastern state that did not have any pro athletics at all within the state at the state level. So I latched on to, the Falcons were a team that we watched regionally, but I was always a Miami Dolphin fan growing up as a kid for a lot of reasons. I lived in Florida a lot when I was a kid, but there was some personal relationship attached to that.
Don Shula was your stepdad?
Actually, one of the offensive coordinators, one of the coaches for the 72 Dolphins, an aunt on my stepmother's side was married to them during that team. So I actually have an autographed full team photo of the Miami Dolphins up in my studio here, actually. So from that. Anyway, I grew up an Atlanta Brave fan. That was my baseball team. Always has been, always will be. And we have the Mariners here. They don't really mariner. They just kind of marinate. They don't.
Yeah, it's a tough market, man. It's a tough market. Yeah,
whatever. They're just not appealing. That appealing to me. So no offense, you Mariner fans out there. I'm a Braves fan, and
right.
Exactly. Yeah. No, well, they're really loyal fans out here to the Mariners, and they have to be, for considering what they've.
Yeah.
The days of Ken Griffey Jr. and that sort of, those days are
Ichiro,
over. Ichiro, and there's a few others. Edgar Martinez was a great player here too as well. So anyway, but back to normal life and normal things that go on in life, Keith. What do you want to get into and talk about first? What else is going on in your life? Do you have anything you want to cover first, or do we just want to get right to the meat and potatoes of the industry?
Yeah, let's get at it. We got some. I've not been this excited about the stuff that we brought to today's show in quite a while. I'm always excited, but my level is up there today.
You're on high. You're on high level.
Yeah, it's probably because I've had more time to focus on it in the past week. But so SEMA. So man, there's been so much SEMA news shaking loose lately, which happens. It starts to hit the news wire about now and ramps up until November when it happens. And by the way, we'll be there. And if you guys are following us over on the YouTube side, or if you're not, make sure you are subscribed, because we're going to have all kinds of content coming out during the SEMA show.
I got my notification. My credentials have been approved. I am officially in. Keith is waiting on his. We'll get our hotels locked in. Yes.
I haven't done it yet, but yeah. So
it's easy.
I think it was on the last podcast. We talked a little bit about Ford. We've got a video out on this as well, scaling back their presence at SEMA. And Honda also, although Honda's was never really huge. And
it's really unclear even if they will have any presence at all.
Right. And so the Ford thing in itself is a big deal, but there could be a lot of reasons behind that. And that's one company. Now we find out that GM's doing the same thing. And now all of a sudden it becomes, what's going on with these auto manufacturers not wanting to go to SEMA?
Right.
So do you have the story up?
Yeah, so GM, basically, like we said, they're the latest manufacturer to decide against attending the upcoming SEMA show. They're going to sit it out. In a statement provided, GM offered little, really, of any justification for doing so. They basically said that they had made the decision not to participate in the 2022 SEMA show. The SEMA show has always inspired them, they say. Accessories and performance parts remain an important part of their business. They really don't get into the greater details of it. There is some speculation around why that may be occurring.
Oh, I want to go there.
But and let's talk about that, because I have my own vision on that, and I think we touched on this the last time we podcasted when we learned about Ford and Honda scaling back or physically pulling out. There will be some presence of Ford there. However, they'll just have some displays on hand, and I think that's what you'll probably find with Honda as well. Do you guys realize, and I know you do, Keith, but let's ask our listeners out there, and please leave us a comment on any of this. Look, guys, it is an extremely costly expense to the bottom line of these manufacturers when they are bringing the size of their displays and their participation, including, to get all this stuff done. You've got crew after crew after crew. You've got display after display. You've got pressers that are going on. You're hosting people. You've got event booths where you're having stars come in and go and speakers. And so it's an extremely expensive event.
Technology. Remember the tablet?
Yeah.
We went to do the Hummer EV thing, and we got the shirts, and they had all the people with like tablets that were taking your information.
Right.
And I guess I won't get to do that this year for a free GM shirt. Although I just put your email address down. And,
That's okay. But you know what, though? That I think that what you're going to find, you may actually find a little bit more of that type of event going on, where it's just you walk up and see a display, and it's more of an interpretive type situation where they will have... Look, technology is so far advanced. We learned a lot from COVID, the shutdown. SEMA did, PRI did, where you had the virtual shows. I think that, I'm stepping back. These guys they're looking at the bigger picture and the future of the shows, and I'm not real sure that they're getting the return on their investment there.
Okay.
And that's part of it.
So let's peel that layer back just a little bit more. By the way, the way this basically was discovered, everybody, by somebody looking at the layout maps, because they have they're not planograms, but it's like a floor map, and it shows we use it too. We use it to look up where people are that we want to interview, and there was no GM listed. And at this point in the game, it's not necessarily a big deal that a company isn't yet listed, because some companies don't make the commitment until now or a little bit later. But GM or Ford, for those prime real estate spaces in the halls, they have to have it in by now.
they're a pencil in, man, at the end of the show last year.
And they're not on the list, right?
And they're not on the list.
Okay,
yeah.
so let me ask you a question. In the last 2 times that we've been to SEMA in person, how many Teslas have you seen?
Absolutely.
Just SEMA?
Well, to be truthful, maybe one.
Okay, yeah.
Except for the ones that were driving us through
you can't count the
excluding those guys.
Thing. Yeah,
excluding those.
Yeah.
I think one, and that was for display purposes only of a piece of equipment that
it wasn't
was on.
there by Tesla. It was some other third party.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to be careful here, because some of these are our friends, partners that have certain stances in the industry. Jay and I we're kind of like sportscasters. We started this podcast talking about, sports that kind of don't have a favorite team. We just provide color commentary and analysis on the game, right?
Pretty much. Yeah, I
mean,
think so. Yeah,
if you show up and you play an amazing game, like the best sportscasters, the ones you don't like are the ones you can tell that have a favorite,
Right.
And I feel like there's some stuff going on here where people are starting to position and jockey for a stance that's either pro EV or anti EV. Mm-hmm. And you have a company like GM that's announced that they're going to be all electric by 2030 or 2035. Ford's basically doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. What a coincidence that they're scaling back their presence at SEMA. Now, SEMA did have an electrified presence, but it was not factory.
Right.
It was custom builders, right?
It was custom builders, yeah. PRI was the same way.
Except for the F100 that Ford brought out on stage and the Mach-E, right?
That's it.
What am I missing?
And then, of course,
here?
you had the Hummer EV that was there.
That's true.
At the GM booth.
Yeah.
But really, kind of outside of that, you didn't see a huge presence of the electrification that's going on with those big manufacturers like that.
So I don't know the answer to this, and I'm truthfully just asking, and would love to hear comments from our watchers and viewers and listeners. Could this be, Jay, that these manufacturers are saying, we just don't feel like they're, this is an overland crowd, typically right now at SEMA.
Right.
And we just don't feel like that's a good fit for the direction that we're headed, which happens to be an electrified company.
Right.
I mean,
absolutely.
Is that a factor?
Yeah, I think so. And I think you have to take into consideration that by going electric, you're automatically compliant when it comes to emissions period, from the vehicle itself.
Right.
Now, I know we can have the argument that is it truly a green movement here, because we know what happens and what it takes to build these things. It's not a complete zero emissions overall from ground.
Right.
From the well out to the
and
consumer.
regulations can
that.
change, especially if there's money being left on the table that the governments don't get their emissions testing. They could find other ways to do safety inspections and charge for it or whatever, right?
Exactly.
But for now,
and when you look at what Ford and GM, the commitment that they have made, and a lot of these other manufacturers are doing, some are slowly behind the scenes doing it. Honda's one of those ones that haven't just come right out and said, hey, we're going all electric. They kind of dragged their feet a little bit, and they've introduced one piece here and one piece there.
It's interesting because I was just thinking about them the other day as I was watching my wife mow the lawn. I was sitting there drinking a beer, and
there's something to be said
I
for
helped.
that.
I was doing.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you're like, yeah.
But we have a Honda walk behind more. Okay,
right. Mm-hmm.
And, Honda really, from the time that they became a major force to be reckoned with here in the United States, with that first, Honda Civic. Remember that little one that kind of took off, in the early 80s, late 70s? And they got into basically just bulletproof small engines. Just smaller engines that were just crazy reliable.
The
right?
VTEC, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've got.
Are you talking about small engines like lawn mowing type
engines? It runs
engines?
the gamut. It's smaller vehicle engines,
Smaller
four-cylinder
vehicle engines,
automobile
like the
engines.
VTEC series of engines are incredible.
Yes. When you think of Honda, you don't really think of V8 or V10 power. That's not their wheelhouse, right? Mm-mm. They have figured out the smaller, I should say, not small, smaller engine game pretty well. I've got a Woods trail bike that's a Honda. I've got a CBR 1000 track bike that's a Honda. My son has owned Hondas. Our mower's a Honda. I mean, we've owned Acuras. The Acura we had was a 4-cylinder, was plenty powerful, honestly. Right. And I feel like they maybe fell asleep at the wheel a little bit, that they took their eye off of further R&D, maybe during various economic difficult times.
Sure.
And while everybody else was working on EVs, Honda sort of just sat that one out.
For the U.S. market, I do believe if you go back and you do a little bit of research on it, and I know you have, and I have as well, and I'm speaking to you guys in the audience out there, that you'll see that Nissan and Toyota and Honda have all been quietly working on some of this stuff back in Japan. And, of course, Hyundai and Kia out of Korea, who have made an extremely huge impact in the EV world. It was like 6 EVs they've released, and they're going to be EV 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. They're all just amazing vehicles. I saw an Ioniq 5 the other day, by the way.
They're
when it drove by me, I'm looking at it and I'm going, now that's what an EV is supposed to sound and look like.
Yes.
That's future. That's future.
We've run across them, and both Sideshot and I have been like, wow, that's awesome.
That's a really cool ride.
They're not playing, man. They're
all over. They're actually all over the place out here now. It used to be all you saw was a bunch of Teslas here.
Yeah.
But now, man, there's a lot of Mach-E's, a lot of Ioniq 5s, a lot of, I've seen some Fiskars. Yeah. I'm sure they're Fiskars, man. That's what they have to be. I don't know of any other. I mean, they look like the Fisker to me, which we'll talk about.
Well,
Fisker
Heinrich
here.
is I mean, he was a designer for another company, and he's got that, eye-catching
look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to the SEMA show, just to kind of wrap this up. I don't know the reasons behind this, but I can tell you that Jay and I will dig into this. So make sure that you are following us, everybody. Because the truth is going to come out here, and there will be more to be told about why some of these major players are backing out. Mm-hmm. We can only speculate for now, but we will ask the questions to as many people as we can. And as soon as we know, you'll know if you're subscribed. So make sure that you do so. By podcast, it's over on our website at partscounterguru.com. Click on the podcast links, and then, of course, over on YouTube. youtube.com/partscountergurus, and that's where we sit. That's where we are. That's where we at. So Jay, do you know though who is going to make an appearance at SEMA in the form of a major automotive manufacturer that has sat it out for the past few years but will be there this year?
Ooh. Did I not do my homework on this one?
I'm in the zone this week, man.
So you caught wind of it. You caught wind of it, and I'm only just go ahead and break the news. Break it.
Volkswagen.
Woohoo! Yes, I can't wait, man. Ooh, for a lot of reasons. A lot of reasons.
This should be interesting, right?
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Also, now you know why I said what I said before we hit record.
I do. So let's roll with this one, pal. Let's go.
Here's the statement that this is a quote from VW. They said, "We thought it was a good opportunity to demonstrate the aftermarket potential with our newly introduced and freshened performance models, and also to show some interesting extensions for our burgeoning range of sport utility vehicles." That's a quote from Volkswagen. They will be at SEMA. We will be all up in that. You guys make sure that you're plugged into us, and you'll see what I did there. I said plugged in.
I did. And this is great because this ties into everything that we're going to talk about, and we're going to roll this all into one segment for you guys because it's a bunch of just VW news. And who didn't see... so we talked about live. Oh man, who didn't or who isn't really just waiting for Obi-Wan? The Disney Plus series is going to be starting at the end of this month.
All of a sudden, this ID Buzz reveal that they did with Ewan McGregor, what was it, month and a half ago, something like that?
With the
and
we
were like, well, that's interesting. And we come on and Jay says, hey, everybody, he owns a lot of these VWs, and we think nothing of it. And then all of a sudden, they release this commercial where they're featuring it's an Obi-Wan. It's a hybrid ID Buzz promotional alongside the Obi-Wan series that's about to drop.
That's right.
And
it's called it's the name of the commercial on YouTube, if you want to check it out, is called Simply Galactic.
Okay.
There you go.
I mean, we can put a link to it, or just throw the link right in there. And
the ID Buzz is Simply Galactic, is what it says.
So
nice
they
marketing.
are leveraging the technology advancements that they are working through, and they're basically partnering with Disney, Star Wars to help that out, right?
Golly, man. What a bold move. Don't you think?
I think it's brilliant.
I do as well. When you have someone like Ewan McGregor, like you said, who is just this classic VW nerd, man. I mean, he loves the dadgum things, grew up around them. And then here he is in the commercial driving the ID Buzz, and you got R2-D2 and C-3PO just walking around like, giving it a stare down.
Yeah, they're supposed to be off camera, like they actually, exist off camera.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking in it, and it's really, really cool. It's a very well done commercial and a good promotion for them, and I'm excited for it.
This is going to sell vehicles for them.
It will. It's going to sell not only this vehicle, this ID Buzz, and all the other IDs that they have coming out in the EV world, but it's also going to sell a lot of things. And now that I know that they're going to be there, I wonder if this thing is going to be promoted at all there. What do you think? You want to bring? I don't know. You never know. Anything can happen, right? And it is Vegas. You want to break the silence? Go ahead.
I think it might be too soon to see one, but I don't know, because we know that Volkswagen Group owns the rights to the vehicle Scout. They are bringing back the Scout. It is going to enter production in 2026.
Yep.
4 years from now. Volkswagen is going to use it as, guess what? An off-road EV brand. Well, where better to position yourself for overlanding than SEMA, right?
Exactly.
So now they're going to spin this company off as its own.
It'll be its own brand.
Yeah.
It'll be VW's little own off EV brand. It'll become a new company, basically, is what they say under the VW group.
Yeah.
So
and we'll get into the specifics. There's going to be a couple models. We're going to tell you what those are here in a second. But let me just say, for those of you that don't know this, and Jay knows this, but this isn't anything new for VW. For a very long time now, they have expanded their portfolio by buying other car companies. Mm-hmm. So let me just give you a few of the examples. Like, I always go back to their premium brands, because those are the polished, recognizable one. Ducati motorcycles, which I have one.
Right.
That's owned by the VW Group. Audi, Lamborghini, Bentley, and then they have a sport division, which is Porsche. So they own, and then, there's some other brands that are less popular here in the United States that are more popular internationally. Let's see, is there anything that I'm missing, Jay, that you can think of? Just putting you on the spot here. Those are the big ones for sure.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I think you've covered that. That's definitely you've covered them. And I will say this, that when we're talking about excitement surrounding the SEMA show here, Keith, if these guys are there, they do say that the first prototypes will be unveiled in 2023.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean necessarily that you might not have some sort of
could be
teaser at the show, because it can happen. We've seen that happen in the past with a few things. Wonder how many restored old Scouts will be around.
That'll be
this
interesting.
year.
So, right. So the famous, iconic looking, boxy Scout SUV from like the 70s was where I remember them. So they are going to do a similar, their concept art makes it look like a boxy EV. It is an SUV, but they're also doing a truck. So think like Lightning F-150 competitor, Rivian competitor, possibly Cybertruck. Cybertruck's kind of its own class, but electric pickup truck, right?
Right.
Silverado EV competitor.
Yes,
That type
absolutely.
thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's going to compete against the Hummer EV, the R1T by Rivian, as well as the electric Jeep Wrangler and the Ford 150 Lightning if they come up with an off-road style version of that. I think that's what it's geared towards. There's a lot, I think everybody is starting to kind of jump in the pool now, if you will, with that pickup truck. I want to know, I have one question. Lordstown, where the hell are you?
Right.
Well, I mean, seriously, everybody else is jumping into the pool.
They're going to be first, Jay. Don't worry.
Oh, is that it? Is that what? So is that why we have to wait? Because they're going to be okay. I get it. Yeah. But this is exciting.
Yeah.
And VW is very smart in realizing that they need to create this so it will be available in the U.S. market at first and only for the U.S. market. They're developing it specifically for the U.S. market.
Well,
I think that this plays into what they understand marketing towards the people have this tendency to want to go back in time.
Yes. Now, do you remember some of these Scouts? Do I remember correctly that some of them had removable roofs, hardtops?
Absolutely. Hard tops, the windshields folded down.
We know the popularity of the Bronco, the new Bronco,
Right.
The revitalized Bronco, the Bronco brought back into existence, but it's not an EV.
Right.
But we know that Overland popularity is just off the charts, right?
It is.
We know that when Toyota discontinued the FJ because of poor sales, it was just extremely poor timing. If they would have been a little bit more patient, I think it would have exploded. But look at, Jeep slid in and took the sales. Now Ford's competing for those sales. Volkswagen's not stupid, and they're looking at this and probably saying, well, what can we offer in our vehicle that neither one of these other two have at the time? And it's a fully electric off-road truck or SUV, right?
Specifically intended for the off-road, yes.
Not to say that Ford won't do that with the Bronco or that, and the Hummer EV is already in development.
Right.
That GM has, but
well, we know that Ford announced is going to be that we know there will be another Ford pickup model that will be an electric pickup.
Right.
It's coming. We just don't know what it is yet.
Right.
They haven't revealed that. We just know it's coming. So VW's paying attention here because GM, like we said, has put out the Hummer EV. They've also got the Silverado EV. And then now you've got the luxury SUV market, and the Cadillac Lyriq is covering that. They're pulling that out, and that should be available soon. I think they've already started production on the Cadillac Lyriq, which I can't wait to see my first one. But VW didn't stop here at the Scout, just an SUV. I think it'll be an luxury off-road SUV, but then they go to the pickup truck. You can't have just an SUV. You got to have a pickup truck. Now, who are they going for there? Rivian, I think.
Yeah, I mean, unless you've been living under a rock, like how can you ignore Rivian's popularity?
Right.
But see, Volkswagen has the production facilities to bring this to life, whereas Rivian, being more of a startup, has to learn the hard way. They're starting from scratch, right?
They are.
And Volkswagen looks at this and says, well, we've already got the experience to put something like this into production much more quickly, and they're already doing electrified vehicles. This wouldn't be their first.
Right.
So let's do it. Let's take our knowledge of production and apply that to the truck market, the electric truck market.
This is all great and everything, but the one thing that bothers me the most, Keith, about any of these electric pickup companies, these electric trucks, off-roaders, there really hasn't been much in the way of true towing capacity or range, towing range fully loaded.
Right.
We get what the estimated range is without all that. It still remains to be seen. Will we have that infrastructure definitely in place for people who are for its intended purpose, such a vehicle like this? And this is why I bring this up. If this is its intended purpose is to be an off-road vehicle only, then we know that it will be towing things. It'll be pulling campers, perhaps, trailers full of bikes or whatever. A lot of different things. Maybe a tent trailer. Who knows? What is the range going to be? Will there be infrastructure in place? We know there's infrastructure out there, and there are things being, considered. But how ready are we truly for this just onslaught of off-road type vehicles?
Well, and this is going to be a tough nut to crack because, really, I think for this generation of EVs, meaning like not, there's better technology that's in the works with better battery components and all that. And some of that we're going to speak toward here in a minute. The manufacturers are going to have to solve this problem on their own. They're not going to be able to rely on somebody else's infrastructure or even, RV manufacturing is like the Wild West. I was on a forum yesterday for my RV, and there's a common problem that happens with this particular chassis that mine has. 400 pages of comments, Jay. 400 pages.
Amazing.
And it's been going on since like 2010, every model that they've made since then. Yeah.
Whoa.
And they know it, and they've just made them that way anyway because RV manufacturing standards are not as high as automotive manufacturing standards. So, okay, so where am I going with this? Well, if a company like Volkswagen or Ford or even Rivian or someone, I mean, we talked about SAF Holland and their tracker and their electrified trailers and their e-axles and all that recently. Somebody's going to have to take the bull by the horn, so to speak, and make their own towable. And, why couldn't Volkswagen do it? They already make camper vans.
Yeah.
And then they would have a quality product that they could also enable you to bring your own power, bring your own battery packs, right?
Yeah.
Travel with a bank of batteries that you can then plug into that truck and give it 1,000 miles of range.
Yeah, well, I think that we've discussed this in the past on previous podcasts, and again, for those of you just now joining us, thank you for stopping by. If you're subscribed to us, thanks. If not, make sure you subscribe at partscountergurus.com/podcast. Look, we've talked about some of the technologies out there, regenerative braking, for example, towables that can generate their own power sourcing. Airstream has done it. A number of companies out there. And I believe you're right. I think that that's going to happen is that somebody's going to develop a trailer that is very specific for use, such as a Volkswagen.
EV compatible, right?
Right. It's EV compatible. Its whole purpose is to store battery power and to continue to just regenerate itself while towing while having it being a trailer, camper trailer, or a tent trailer, or something, or just a utility trailer,
right.
Holding your gear, whatever. I think that that's what you'll eventually see. So it's sort of a tandem piece of equipment, if you will,
right,
that comes along and helps you. It's your emergency backup power.
Battery technology has to get lighter, which it's heading in that direction, because that's a lot of increased weight. But just think about the possibilities, man. I mean, you potentially eliminate the need to go plug in at an RV campsite. With that much power, if you can double the range of an EV, of an electric pickup truck, you then are talking about the kind of power that you could then use to run everything in that RV for days and days and days.
Right. And for those of you who think that it can't happen, we watched a video. We talked about it right here on this podcast, guys. A guy who had his Tesla towed at, what was it, like 60 miles an hour constantly, and it was basically supercharging the entire time as it was being towed. So
flat towed.
That's the technology. That's what we're talking about. These are the things that will be part of these packages. So for all of you that are out there with range anxiety or questioning how this can happen and why they're doing it, this is why. Because there's ways to get through it, and it will happen.
I know nobody in the RV industry wants this to happen, but I would welcome the quality contributions from a partnership with Ford or Volkswagen or, just because there's so many polished turds being sold in the RV line today.
Right.
That are just, it's like, Jay, I mean, honestly, we almost died. Like, we could have died. My exhaust in my generator was not hooked up. They didn't even bother to hook up the exhaust line.
Right.
They wired the carbon monoxide detector backward so that it wasn't working.
We don't need that.
That is a recipe for, you're in a box filling up with exhaust fumes with no warning.
Right.
That passed somebody's quality. So I feel like it's going to raise the price of the RVs because it's expensive to build them well.
Right.
But if they're built better, they last longer. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
We'll see what happens. So this is an exciting time for Volkswagen. I'm looking forward to it. I hope we do get to see them at SEMA and pick their brain on this new venture that they're going on. So I am looking forward to seeing the Scout come back. Like I said, I'm a sucker for old school. I know it's going to be an EV, but I love the way that body looked and how, everything about it, and that's what the Bronco was. And so we shall see. So stay tuned for that, everybody. Good luck, Volkswagen, on that, and we'll see you at SEMA. Wow. Man, oh man, where do we go from here, Keith? We just have, this is a show full of just candy, ear candy, in my opinion, don't you think?
So battery technology being something that we've lightly touched on already today.
Yeah.
I think, it's worth mentioning that there is a startup battery technology company. They're out of California, founded by an ex-Tesla engineer.
Yep.
Mercedes has taken an interest in them. This is using silicon.
Yep.
As a
anode instead of the
there you go.
Instead of the graphite, the normal graphite.
And I would guess that's going to make it lighter, but I think it's probably also going to offer more stability.
Stability and storage.
Yeah.
It performs a lot better. They still have a lot of hurdles to get over to make it work. Mm-hmm. This is not something new. This is just now that as we, again, folks, for those of you who have joined us on our podcast before or watch us on our YouTube channels, if you're not subscribed, make sure you get over there to youtube.com/Parts County Gurus and hit that subscribe button, turn it from red to gray, and then hit that notification bell so you are aware of some of these things that we talk about, and you can go back and check them out. But we've been talking about battery technology for, the last year and a half, saying the answer through all this, because Pete keeps coming up. Batteries are so expensive. Batteries are so heavy. Batteries are dangerous for the environment. Batteries are volatile. You're not saying anything new. That's been known. It's a known factor. It's how do we make them not volatile? How do we make them store more energy? How do we make them more cost effective? How do we make them greener for the environment? Those are the things that we're working through right now, and this is another step. And Mercedes-Benz, the Mercedes G-Class EV will use a silicon battery technical technical company to boost its range. Excuse me. I still have a little scratchiness going on, pal.
I gotcha. So they're gonna start. They're gonna start this in 2025.
Yes, thank you.
It's gonna be the electric G-Class.
Correct.
And this isn't unusual, everybody. Established automotive companies, now I can't talk, have for years invested in startups that they think could be a game changer that could offer the investing company some sort of leverage above the competition. And this is an example of that. So Mercedes is looking at, hey, just what they've been obviously listening to our show, and they've said, like, we know that this is Gen 1 of EVs, like we've been telling you guys for a while now. This is not the end. Battery technology has to change. And so how do we get there? And this is one possible way.
Right.
And so
the company, did we mention their name again? I'm sorry. It's Sila Nanotechnologies.
There you go.
Is
and
what it
again,
is.
Founded by an ex-Tesla engineer.
Right.
They are headquartered in California. I think that ex-Tesla engineer's name is Gene.
You are correct.
Yeah.
First name Gene.
Thanks for saving me there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Mercedes likes what they're seeing. Now, they're not the only company that's looking to partner here with silicon-based battery technology, and just know that other manufacturers are taking a look at it as well.
And here's why: because the battery, like I said, it uses a silicon-based anode, and it's 20% to 40% more energy dense than comparable cells currently available. So that's a lot. That's another hurdle that we're trying to get over, is that ability to be able to store more energy and be more efficient with that.
They're building a new plant near you in Washington State. Low hundreds of millions of dollars estimated to be basically invested into the development of that battery plant. So there's going to be a factory there that's going to silicon based, right? It
would be cool. Should I ask him for a tour of that plant?
Yeah, go do it, man. Everybody, make sure you're subscribed so you get a look at this if and when it comes to fruition.
I'll go check it out. See where I'll find out where they're at and go see if I can't do this.
But the other key factor here is that so much of the graphite in the existing batteries that we're making today, these lithium batteries that go into cars, comes from China. And
70% of them.
This makes us less dependent on an international market, because we've all seen in recent times what happens when you have turmoil elsewhere in the world and it disrupts the supply chain. Let's not continue to do that. Let's learn from our mistakes. This seems to be a good step in the right direction.
Right. It definitely does. I think so, man. You got to change.
And yes, and interestingly enough, that other company that I mentioned, BMW, is the other key player here that's taking a look at this technology.
That makes
sense. We want in. So
how much you want to bet another German group gets involved in it?
It could be. Yeah, it could be.
I bet you.
Yeah.
I bet you. It's happening. It's happening, guys.
They're going to have to power that Scout somehow, right?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So there you go. There's that new technology coming on board. We always promise to bring you some of the newest stuff that's coming about our way, and we always like to give you that information, guys. So,
you're right,
am I gonna make it through this show?
I think you'll be fine. You're doing fine. We need to have a safe word. You just give me the code, and I'll
how about if I just cough? You kind of catch my drift.
Yeah, I'll grab the wagon. Yeah, right.
There you go. Wow. So, can we move on to something that I saw that I thought that you brought to my attention? I didn't see this, which by the way, we haven't talked a lot about electric bikes lately, have we?
I guess not.
Not really.
No.
I mean, how is your e-bike? You bought one from out here?
It's banging, man.
You loving it?
I love it. Side shot. He keeps trying to take it away from me, and I bought him his own bicycle a year ago, and it's a nice one, and he wants mine because it goes fast, and
yeah.
So
yeah, it's absolutely. What's the top speed on that one? You got what was the class on that one?
It's a class 3.
Yep.
So I believe it's 28 miles an hour, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I'm sure somebody will correct me in the comments.
Right on. Now that's regulated for the U.S. to be that speed, right?
So
okay. Doesn't mean it can't go more. But
now mine is a hybrid. You can take it off road. It's got both front and rear suspension. It's got shocks on it. It's got big fat tires. Depends on the intended use. If you're going to use them in the city, you don't need all that. And here's why we bring this up. And I freaking love this. And
I do too.
I got to tell you, Jay, you will not relate to this at all, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So you're going to have to suffer through this, okay?
Okay.
While you find your bag of sucrets or whatever.
Right. Sucrets, yes. So this is brought to you by Sucrets.
In an attempt to spend more time with my son, and you have to meet him on their level, okay? So, like, there's things that I love to do that he'll do with me, but it's really more I need to find the things that he loves and then just meet him on those levels. So one of the things that we've been doing a lot together is the kids all play a game called Fortnite. Have you heard of Fortnite?
I've heard of Fortnite, yep.
And it's cool. It's a lot of fun. It's, every few weeks they introduce some new character. A lot of them are Marvel characters. They introduced for Star Wars, May the 4th, they dropped lightsabers into the game. So you can run around, with a lightsaber, people shooting at you, you're deflecting it with your lightsaber and all that.
That's
so we do this, right? So there's tanks in the game. There's vehicles in the game. My son likes to drive like said vehicle while I'm hanging out the window like blasting the bad guys, and he's like my wheelman, okay?
I love
it. So one of the things that although this is deadly serious and this is real life and war is awful. This just reminds me of things that I see happening in Fortnite. There's a Ukrainian manufacturer of e-bikes. Now, these are heavy-duty off-road e-bikes.
Right.
They can have up to a 200-mile range. And the troops there, the Ukraine soldiers, are using these e-bikes to bust tanks. They're carrying rocket-propelled launchers on their backs, on these e-bikes.
In-laws, yeah.
And they're swift and nimble, and they can shoot through the woods, and they're taking care of business, and they're taking tanks out.
Yes, they are.
And these are foot soldiers.
Yes, this is so awesome that they're using this technology for that purpose because it's quiet. You can go unnoticed, and you can retreat very quickly.
Oh yeah, they're
getting out of there. So that's why this is such a useful piece of equipment, and it's just we take it for granted here. We ride them downtown or wherever on trails or whatever.
Now I've got a woods bike. Now this is basically a woods bike. It's an off-road bike. My woods bike, we just talked about this on a previous segment, is a Honda. It's a CRF. It's a 250. Mm-hmm. Now you get up super bikes that you race on tracks. They're 1,000 cc's. Okay, and that's a lot of power, and they're crazy fast, and they can accelerate crazy fast. You can't really do that in the woods. The best woods riders are not going over 20 or 30 miles an hour because of the terrain. You just can't. It's no different, Jay, than driving your Bronco on the pavement on a highway and doing 70 miles an hour. You take that off pavement and you're in the mountains with Rothmeyer, you're not going to do 70 miles an hour climbing a mountain.
No, you
Bad
can't.
things would happen, right?
Absolutely would.
So the fact that these, and this company's name is Delfast, and they're a manufacturer, they're out of Ukraine, if I understand correctly.
Yes.
They're making the e-bikes. These are fully set up for off-road, and they will do up to 50 miles an hour, which is more than enough to whip around in the woods because you're not going to really be able to push them, I don't think, that far. And they have a 200-mile range.
Yeah, that right there is critical. Knowing the range capability of that and being able to get in and get out and get the job done. I would assume that these bikes were developed for obviously other purposes, but they're being purposed for this. Who would have thought that this would have been something as to me, it's a simple piece of equipment. It's an electric bicycle that has a lot of range and it has purpose. And I got to tell you, hats off to these guys for using their heads and going, okay, working with what you got. And then
David and Goliath situation, right?
They find this little hidden gem sitting there going, okay, we can strap a rocket to the back of it and it can handle it.
Well, and this is necessity is the mother of invention. As we've said many times, this has been done elsewhere in the world. New Zealand started a couple years ago. There's various places, various military forces that have tested. UBCO is another one that I've followed their e-bikes for a while. This is a completely different application. You understand heavy-duty applications. This isn't a consumer commuter e-bike. These things will take a beating.
Absolutely, they will.
And it's I love it, man. It's a good use of that equipment. Again, completely silent, with the exception of whatever you're rolling over making noise as you pass over it, right?
Right. And if you look at the suspension on this thing, Keith,
yeah,
it's so well built and designed for rough terrains like that. I mean, not only are you having a reliable piece of equipment to use, but it's got to be fun to ride too in certain instances. Not only is Delfast part of this movement with what's going on with the military, the Ukraine military.
Right.
They have another local Ukrainian company called Eleek, which is spelled E-L-E-E-K. They have also supplied them with silent, powerful electric motorbikes, which are used on the battlefield as well. So they're using what they can, man. So good for them. Who knew, right?
Yeah, I love it though. I mean, this is innovation.
It is innovation
cool.
at its best.
Yeah,
I love it. So congrats to you guys. Keep going. Well, thankfully you guys have another something in your book to pull out.
Right.
And throw darts at people and whatever you do in war.
Or tank or rocket propelled tank busting grenades. Whatever, man.
Or run like hell. Just whatever. Whew, man, oh man. All right, so we got a little bit of a quick recall to talk about. We'll get to that, and then we'll save the best for last. How about that?
Yeah, that's fine. Recalls are kind of typically your thing. I'll just sit here and push buttons on the.
Well, this is just a simple, quick in out.
Maybe drop a few jokes in along the way.
Yeah, right. So, boy, when it rains, it pours with Ford, I guess. And Ford has just announced a recall of a lot of their SUVs and trucks due to an engine fire. And because of this, Ford is saying they should be parked outdoors. Heed the warning, people. Do not pull them in your garage. Leave them parked outdoors. They're asking the owners of about 350,000 vehicles to take them into their dealership for repairs. And there are 3 recalls here that are involved. 39,000 that should be parked outdoors, they say, because the engines can catch fire. They don't know what's causing them to catch fire yet. Ford says it's not instructing owners to stop driving the SUVs, although those who might not be able to follow the park outdoors instructions should contact the dealer or the company itself. They're also recalling about 310,000 heavy-duty trucks. That would be the F-250 and greater series trucks because
all the way
drivers,
up to the 550. So 250, 350, 450, 550.
You got it. Because the driver's airbag may not inflate in a crash. Not a good thing. Not a good thing.
Yeah. Now look, the catch and fire thing, that GM suffered from that too. It's happening.
I sound like I'm just going to say this. What if I'm an IT guy and I'm investigating this thing? So what were you doing before the airbag didn't go off?
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, we're getting to that point with technology, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Modules,
well, they've got black boxes, so to speak, on a lot of them already, yeah.
Yeah,
so
they've got to figure that out.
Did you say the recall on the heavy duties was from 2016?
Correct.
In terms of model year, right?
That is correct, yes. Sorry, man. Yeah, and the Ford SUV is the 2021 Ford Expedition and the Navigators. And I think that those were built from December of 2020 through April or May of 2021. I believe that was the case. And yes, it was December 1st, 2020 through April 30, 2021 is when those particular Navigators and Excursions were built. And they started investigating these things, I think, in March of this year of 2022. So this has been a recent occurrence. It says that Ford says that they posted in documents Thursday by the NHTSA that the powertrain control computer may not detect a software error, in that the airbag may not deploy.
The new norm. software and technology. You know,
Chips.
it's not new. It's been around.
Could
for
it
a
have
while.
anything to do with the chip shortages?
I don't
Are we
think. I just think it's.
Remember what I said about?
I think those will surface later. I think you're right, but I think those will surface later.
Remember what I said about supplier A, B, C, and D?
Yeah.
When A, B, and C is not supplying, but you have to go get it from D.
Yeah.
Buyer beware.
Right. Yeah.
Just saying. I just
Yeah.
want people
So
to be aware.
yeah, and there's some Mach-E's in this.
The Mach-E's are
too.
involved. Yes. 464. 460. Wonder what the production numbers are. Do you have that real quick? We always ask this, right? Let's see.
The Ford Mach-E
production numbers. Let's see how big of a deal that is.
Who is faster at Google, everyone?
Let's see. So far this year, the production exceeded 18,000, while the cumulative number is close to 90,000.
So the number sold in 2021 was 27 over 27,000. So it's if they're talking 400 and change of these,
yeah,
that's a very, very small, like less than 1%.
Right. It is. It's not a huge amount of them, but that was a software issue. Here's the problem with that. It says it can cause unintended acceleration, deceleration, or loss of drive power in all-wheel drive vehicles.
Oh.
That's good to know.
Yeah. My car's got a mind of its own and not in a good way, right?
It'll be fixed at dealers with a software update. They said online software update. So if you're one of the 464 people, God, that's like drawing the short straw in a haystack, man.
I gotta say, this is where Tesla would probably have them beat because they would just push that update over the air, right?
Yes. This is the thing, man, and this is something that, and we've talked about this in the past, Keith, about that whole manufactured, direct to consumer business model that Tesla has, where they're dealing directly with the consumer.
Right.
I think Ford and GM and all these guys have a long way to go in that regard to figure that out.
Yeah, I think Ford's trying to head in that direction, as we've told you guys recently, with the spinoff of their electric company. But yeah, I think you're right. That is one of the advantages that Tesla has pioneered.
Right. And I think that and that's why we're seeing that shift slowly move towards that type of business model in the industry. And dealerships are slowly going to be going away.
Right.
And you can listen to that on another episode as well. Make sure you subscribe. I'm getting through these, man.
You're making
I'm
it.
trying.
You're doing great, buddy.
Do I sound post-COVID?
So, this is my favorite Doc Severinsen quote. Like, I'm in the band, right?
Yeah.
The band can tell.
Okay.
But I don't think the audience can tell.
Well,
like, just because I know you and you know me and we know we've done this so many times, like, we've done over 100 of these, Jay, that, like, there's things that you learn about how to, it's jazz musicians, right? You kind of know what the other guy's going to do when he's giving a solo.
It's the chemistry kind of thing going, that it's there. But, with something with this infection, when you get it, the brain fogginess stuff, and the lingery weird stuff, it's kind of weird. Just saying. So we're going to wrap up today's show, guys. But first, we have a final segment here that we want to talk with you about, and Keith is excited about it. He kept wanting to talk about this thing, and I'm going to let him get into this. But I'm excited too because I keep bringing them up like they're out there like crazy, and they're not. I think I might be just seeing prototypes or maybe one-offs or I don't know.
You're talking about Fisker.
I am.
Okay. Now, this is an interesting story, and if you have a few minutes, don't do it now. Finish watching this segment and listening to the podcast. But after that, everybody, go check out Fisker. Look at the wiki page on Fisker. It's interesting. Fisker, in many ways, was pre-Tesla. I have seen in person a Fisker from a pre-Tesla era that had solar cells on its rooftop. No, kind of like just while it's parked. It was a Karma, I think.
Okay.
It was an original, I think.
Like Were you in California when you saw it?
No, I was here. I was here at a car
really?
show. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I don't.
Car show.
No, I don't know where it came from, but it was here in the middle of the country,
Right.
and it was just the kind of thing that while it's parked, it gives you a little bit of charge in the daytime back on your batteries because it was an EV, but it was again pre-Tesla. So Heinrich Fisker is he's still around, is the designer. And he's got a really keen eye for, I mean, the car is impressive to see in person. It's a beautiful automobile. Now, this isn't the first time that, so they're making a comeback. And that's part of what I was encouraging to go check out, read their history, because it's been a lot of ups and downs. They announced the Ocean roughly about a year ago. We broke the news here on the Counter Show, and that's going to be probably in production before this one. But we think they're going to do. In fact, Heinrich himself tweeted it, and then his company apologized, and he had to take it down.
Right. Yeah.
This is why I like Twitter. Everybody, we're at the Counter Show on Twitter. If you're
he and Elon just keep you on your. You're like, well, here you go. Oh no, let me take that back. Yeah, it's one of those things.
So the Fisker Ocean is an SUV. They've shown pictures of that. You can go see it on our channel. Just search for it, or you can go to their site and look at it. The Alaska looks like it's going to be a truck,
right?
An electric pickup truck.
Yes.
Well, gosh, Jay, nobody's getting into the electric truck game, are they?
No, they're not. I mean, we've this will be the second one we've
on
spoken
this podcast alone,
on this podcast alone. Yeah.
That we've broken news of 2 more EV pickup truck manufacturers that aren't Lordstown getting into the game.
This one, however, is more. It's a little different,
which I would expect from him.
Right, and it kind of falls into the class, in my opinion, as not based on size, but its utilitarian ability. Is not. It doesn't appear that that's what he is going for here. He says, Hendrik Fisker says that he intends it to be more of a lifestyle-oriented electric pickup truck. So that reminds me much more of, like, say, what the Hyundai Santa Cruz.
Ah, yes.
Or like the Ford Maverick, which are intended for people who need it to kind of work into their lifestyle because they may be hauling stuff. They have to haul stuff, little stuff here that is part of their lifestyle. Not a pickup truck like an F-250 or an F-150 where you're hauling trailers and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, think like Honda Ridgeline. Like, you've got a truck bed. Jay's dying over there. You've got that bed to haul overpriced lumber home from Lowe's and Home Depot. If you need to build a doghouse or whatever,
right? But
you're not going to be towing an Airstream with it, probably.
Or just pull out the old Suzuki Samurai, you'll be fine.
Yeah, there you go. Right, yeah. with the 9-foot treated lumber poles hanging 7 feet out the back.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Heck, the front end of the Samurai will be like you'd be.
The poles are longer than the wheelbase of the vehicle. Yeah.
Right.
Look, man, I think that if you're Fisker, this is a smart move. Again, we just talked about it on this podcast with VW doing the same thing. Fisker's doing it too. SUV, luxury SUV, along with a pickup truck to kind of match your needs.
Well, I'm gonna add one other angle here. Okay. So right now, and this could change, but everybody's talking about it because apparently we've all become our parents, just like that insurance commercial, right?
Right.
Yeah. Have you seen that one where they're
I love it. I absolutely
they're
love
like,
it.
well, at least we park close. So what time do you want to leave? Third quarter? And they're like, we're not even in the stadium yet. Can we stop talking about when we're going to leave?
Can we stop talking? Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So, price of gas. All our parents talk about price of gas, right? It's a big. We're all talking about price of gas right now. It's a big deal. It's expensive. Mm-hmm. Trust me. Take it from the guy that just ordered a diesel pusher motorhome. I am very aware of the price of a gallon of fuel.
And to put that in perspective, $62 to fill up my Mini Cooper.
Yeah. What do you think it's going to cost me for 100+ gallons of diesel?
Oh, it's
going to be painful. Yeah.
It's pretty bad. Yeah.
So here's my point. if that continues, people here in the United States like big vehicles. They like their trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Sales data backs that up.
Yep.
You want a truck, but you don't want to pay the high price of fuel. Go buy an electric truck.
There you go.
This could be a major turning point in the automotive industry in terms of EV sales starting to take a stronger foothold, a higher percentage of total vehicle sales because of the price of fuel. We're not in a recession. The economy's good, but gas prices are high. So people will still buy vehicles, but they may go towards a vehicle with a lower cost of ownership.
Yeah. And that's exactly what people will do. And everybody is positioning themselves to take a part of that market. And, I think that, you've got Rivian that's out there, yes, and they were first, but I still think Ford is well poised with that F-150 because remember what Side Shot and I said.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is the only truck
market. Yep.
out of the group that looks like a truck.
Yep. And you also have to factor in, let's say I'm in the market for an electric truck today. Like, I'm going to go buy one in the next month. I've decided, let's say my old truck died or whatever, right? I'm probably not going to get a Rivian this year.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to wait on that from a production standpoint.
Right.
There is a chance, I would say of the two, that F-150 Lightning could be in my driveway sooner than a Rivian.
Right. Well, let me say this. My wife grew up in a Scout.
Okay.
When the Bronco came back, she liked them. She thought they were cool.
Yeah.
But she kept saying, yeah, you know how, she goes, I always thought the Broncos kind of like looked a little bit like the Scout. I said, well, they were designed, developed to compete with the Scout.
On purpose, right?
That was what it was for. She goes, yeah, but there was just something about the Scout. I always liked the Scout. Yep. So I want you guys to pencil that on your calendar in 2 years when Jay's driving a Scout because my wife has this thing pulling at her heartstrings because her grandfather used to own one.
It's hard to say what the economic climate's going to be in 2 years. I mean, nobody, actually, I do have a crystal ball, but, limited use.
If you'd like to watch the crystal ball episode, you can go over to youtube.com/Parts Kind of Gurus, and you'll find that episode where we use the crystal ball.
Yeah, but I think if things continue and all indications point to gas fuel prices in general being high for a while, the electric movement is going to take off.
Yeah, I think so.
Just because it's cheaper. It's not going to have anything to do with economic stuff. I mean, with the climate. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's going to have everything to do with just people's wallets, with economic. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think from a generational standpoint that you have this generation of buyers, which are the 25 to 40 something. Those are your key buyers right now. I think that they're more open to an electric vehicle over, say, someone in my age group or older.
More people are working remotely, or they're doing some sort of hybrid work where they don't go into work as often. You have more time to charge your vehicle. It's less of a factor. I think the circumstances are determining what people are going to buy over the next 2 years. Yeah.
And I think that Dylan said it best. The times, they are changing.
Dude, would you have imagined, let's say, Jay, that I jumped in my DeLorean and went back about 2.5, 3 years. Let's go 4 years, okay? And I showed up to us, and I said, you guys are going to start a podcast. You're going to have a media platform. You're going to be, automotive-based. And, oh, by the way, you're going to spend a tremendous amount of your time discussing electrified vehicles at that point because they will be such a huge percentage of market share or advertising or news cycles. Would you have went, that dude's on some sort of, he's altered, he's medicated?
I would have probably said, I know it's going to be coming, but that's a way, way long way in our future before it'll be like that. Yes, I would have looked at it in that way, knowing that the technology is available and that we've been pushing towards that. But no, 4 years ago, had you asked me and told me that this is where we would be in our podcast talking about this so much, no. I would have never thought that it would be this heavy. And again, folks, we say this with grace and humbleness for the opportunity to be able to do this on a weekly basis. We love this industry. We love the automotive industry, but the industry is changing, and that's not our fault. We just want to talk about how the industry is shaping, and it's basically shape-shifting right in front of your eyes, man. It really is. And if SEMA is not an indication of where these things are going, I think that there is a relationship to the EV market and the big three, or the big two at least, GM and Ford pulling out. I think there is some relationship to that. So what that underlying piece of information is yet, we just haven't quite pinpointed it, but I think we will find out and we'll let you know. Wouldn't you say?
I'd say we'll find out in person. I mean, you just make sure you're subscribed, and when the show happens, we're there, and you'll get all the information firsthand.
Did I tell you how excited I am about going to SEMA 2022
You've been
this
talking
year?
about it a little bit. I
want to meet.
The Halloween thing.
Yeah, it is the Halloween thing. It is the Halloween thing. But now that I know that VW is going to be there, and there's a potential for me to sit in an ID Buzz.
Yeah.
Maybe get a little. I don't know. You know what I think I'm going to go as in this year? I think I'm going to go as Obi-Wan.
I was going to say I'll go for the droids.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I got a lightsaber I can loan you.
It's Halloween, so you might as well, right?
Yeah. You can travel with those on planes, by the way. I've done it.
Does Boomhauer say anything about any forces being with you?
I don't know that those two galaxies would ever collide.
Cross paths? But what if they did? Man, talking about that dang old lightsaber, man, stuff kind of goes ring it out and just whap you, whap, whoop, 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 whoop. That's my best Boomhauer Star Wars thing. Man, talking about that dang old gold guy, man, is running around here going beep, 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 beep. I don't know me.
Tell you what you do, you just take them dang old spark plugs out, then that little hole, you just put a little hole around there, just like Bobby Hunter said, just like it go boom, boom, just like that.
I think that might apply to C-3PO.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got a spark plug or two in there somewhere, right?
There you go. Yep.
So, oh gosh, thanks for humoring me today, man. Thanks for letting me get on here and be your partner in crime today. It's been fun. We always have fun doing what we're doing. So
we'll wrap this so that you can go medicate and get better for the next one.
Yeah. I'm gonna go lay on some shore somewhere in Florida and roast.
There you go.
I hope.
Before we go, everybody, just a quick reminder, please pay us a visit over on our website at partscounterguru.com.
Yes, please.
And click on that Amazon banner, and that will support the show. It doesn't cost you any more, but if you're going to do any shopping at all on Amazon, why not do it through our website? And that way we get a little love. We get the affiliate credit. Again, doesn't raise the price of what you're buying at all.
Yes, please.
And it's anonymous, so we don't know who you are. We get a little affiliate credit, and that's a great way to support the show. And it's what I call a win-win-win, Jay. It's free for it's whatever you're buying isn't free, but it doesn't cost you anything to click through.
Yeah, clicking through is free.
Yeah.
So just click on our website and click on through, and there you go. You can thank us later for that advice on getting you where you need to go to shop too. Yeah, because how else would you know to go to Amazon without going to partscounterguru.com first? Right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, there you go. All right. Before I lay it on you, is there anything you want to say?
I don't have anything else to say.
Okay.
I'm pretty tired, man.
All right. Well, get your rest. We got more shows to do, so you feel better for the next one, buddy.
I will.
All right, everybody. For my pal Jay over there, I'm Keith. I will leave you with these words. There are two types of people in this world. The first is those that can extrapolate incomplete data. See you next time, everybody. Thanks for making us part of your lives.